everyone, thanks for joining today. So today's project is a little bit different than what I normally do. So the normal channel projects and stuff are, things around the house, remodeling, fixing things up, stuff in the yard, some projects out there, some fun stuff here and there, but remodeling and some upgrades and stuff. So today's project is kind of some maintenance, and it's maintenance I've kind of let go for a while. You probably have a pretty good idea of what it is from looking behind me. So I bought these washer and dryer about 20 plus years ago, and they've been awesome. Never had any issues with them at all. Until sometime this last year, the dryer started giving me some issues. So a couple things I noticed was when I would do a large load to dry, it wouldn't get quite dry, and I'd have to run it a little bit longer. I go, that's new. And then the other thing, I would start seeing kind of some marks on my clothing, like the bed sheets, the linens, kind of the dress shirts, some lighter weight fabrics and stuff. Kind of example is kind of see that. So it's kind of just a mark in there. So I go, that seemed odd too. So after looking at things a little bit and then doing a little research, I kind of figured I knew what was going on with the marks, and I'm pretty sure what that was is my felt seals in the drum, the rear and the front seals have worn out. And what happens when that happens is you get your clothing and stuff caught up in that little, where the seal used to be. So now it's loose, your clothing will get caught up in there and make that little mark. It'll get caught for just a little bit, and then just kind of rub the clothing so it makes the mark, and then you're kind of stuck with that. So there's that. And then the other issue with it not drying well enough, because the seals are worn out and you've got that big gap, a lot of that heat escapes out of the drum. So it's not getting to the clothing, it's just escaping into the carcass of the dryer and stuff like that and out the back. So it's not drying as efficiently. So today's project, we're going to take care of all that and then do a little bit of maintenance on it. So make it last a few more years. Probably not another 20, but a few more years anyway. So went online, bought some parts. You got the front main seal, so a Whirlpool OEM part. And then we've got a rear seal. The front seal gets pressed in with some little pegs. The rear seal needs to be glued. So if you order parts and you're doing the same project, make sure you get something with the glue, because if you have to buy the glue separately, it's like $20 for this little tube of glue. The whole seal itself, the package, 25 bucks. If you get just the seal by itself, 20 bucks. But the glue is crazy. So if you order it, make sure you get the glue with the seal. So those are the issues. And then the maintenance that I'm doing, this is the non-OEM part. So we got a new belt for the drum, a tensioner pulley. We'll see the condition of that. And then there's two other wheels that kind of support the weight of the drum, and we'll see the condition of those. So this whole kit was like $15 online. So figured might as well buy it, and we'll do that maintenance while we're in there and the drum's apart and stuff like that. So let me show you a couple close-ups of some stuff and see what we're doing, then we'll start doing the dismantling and replacing the bad parts. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick look at what's going on the inside of the dryer. So if you look at the back side, this little lip here is where the seal sits. So that's the rear seal. And I'm going to give it a little bump, and you can kind of see what's going on. You can kind of see the gap opening up, because those seals are pretty worn out, and you'll see when I pop the top open and look at it. But you can see as the things move around, you're probably going to be able to see how you can get some clothing and stuff caught up in there and get that little burn mark in there. So we're going to seal that up and hopefully fix our problems and keep this thing running for another few years. So for this project, there shouldn't be that many tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a 5/16 nut driver, and then a putty knife or a flat blade to scrape the gasket off the back. So the rim or the rear gasket is glued on. The front gasket has some push pins that hold it in place. So as far as tools, you should be able to do this whole project with some hand tools. Shouldn't be too dirty either. Probably more dust and lint and stuff with the dryer. So we're going to change the seals, change out all the stuff in the maintenance kit, and then give it a nice clean up, and then get it back together. Okay, so let's get ready for disassembly. So to start, always want to make sure that your power is disconnected. So I've already reached back here and I pulled the plug out of the wall. If yours is hardwired in for some reason, or you can't reach the plug, you could always go to your breaker panel and shut down, turn off the breaker, or disconnect the breaker. So now that there's no power going to it, I don't have the risk of zapping myself, because we are going to get into the unit and we're going to have exposed wires and terminals and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're being safe. So the first thing you want to do with disassembly of the unit is, this is the lint door. So it's got, pull the lint screen out, put that to the side. Then it's got 2 screws in it, 2 Phillips screws. Goes aside. Now this top will pull forward and flip up on hinges. So I'm going to pull it forward, make sure I keep tension on it, lift up. Now I'm pretty close to my wall, so I'm just going to scoot it out a bit and lean it up. So now it's supported against the wall and I'm not going to damage anything back there. So it is pretty dusty. Let's take a look at some stuff. All right, so now that we're into it, you see things are pretty accessible. So here's the rear seal. You can kind of see this outside edge is pretty brown, pretty hard too. And you can see that's worn all the paint stuff off the metal casing right there. So that's the rear seal. And then if you didn't know, or this is something new for you, there's green stitching and then some white stitching. When we put the new seal on, the green stitching goes towards the drum. So just make sure you put that green stitching towards the drum. Here's the belt. We'll kind of look better condition for that, but it doesn't look like it's cracked or anything, so it's held up pretty good. Then here is the front seal, which that might be our big problem. So kind of, I don't know if it disappears there. Across the top. Oh, there's a bunch of it. Must have caught something because it's holding a bunch on this side. Oh yeah. So it's hardly been riding on anything. So that's the seal. So all right. So next step, we kind of looked at that. Next step is there's the front here has a sensor for whether the door's open or not. So there's a quick connect here, or a quick disconnect. We can either pull that apart. Sometimes I have issues with these, so if that gets to be an issue, then there's 2 screws that hold the actual sensor, and so we'll open the door and just take the screws out, but let's do that real quick. So not too bad, pretty quick. So whichever one's easier for you. If you don't struggle with that too much, or you just unscrew it, put it out of the way. So now grab your 5/16, and there is a screw that holds the front door section on. On both sides. And it's just near the top. There's not screws down in the bottom area. So put all that together. So this unit, the screws are out, and now we should be able to lift it up and out. So up, you saw that came right out. And wow, that lower. And pull that away, set that off to the side. And real quick, you can see the condition of that front. So it's all sort of messed up. So anyway, so now to pull the drum out, we need to loosen the bands on this. So let's peek underneath real quick There's a lot of people just say reach under there and disconnect it, but I'll make sure that you guys can see what's going on. So there's our tensioner that we're going to replace. And it runs around the motor, pulley there, and then just wraps around the unit, the drum. So, okay, so when you're pulling tension off the belt, that tensioner just falls right over. And then I actually just pull it off the smaller wheel, or smaller pulley there on the motor. Just spun it backwards and it popped right off. So just watch to don't get your fingers caught in there, so that would hurt. So now that it's loose, and when you do that, you want to support the drum so it doesn't fall. So, okay, now that that's loose, we can pick up the whole drum and support it with the one hand and just lift it up and out of the way. Okay, so now the drum's out of the way. You can kind of see where that has really rubbed that raw. So it's where the old rear seal is. And I've never gotten into this, so this is 20 years of lint and goop that's gotten in the back. So we're going to make sure that we vacuum that out really well. Those are the two wheels that came with our maintenance kit. This guy just popped right out when the tension got off of it, so he seats right back in there, but we'll get to that. So let's get to the drum, because we got to glue that rear seal on and let that dry. So front seal pops on easy. The rear seal, we're going to have to take that off and scrape it and clean it up and glue the new on, let it sit for 2-3 hours, and then put everything back together. So let me get the drum up to where it's comfortable to work on. You kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, so as far as removing this rear seal, we've got our putty knife. What we're going to do is we're going to get underneath here and see if we can get it going. The backside's pretty dry and brittle, but I'm going to put you down for a minute. Just see if you can put you in a position where you can see this better, because one-handed does not work. So I'm just going to get the blade in here and see if I can't get this started. It's coming off pretty clean. You don't have to be too gentle because you're not keeping it. So once you get a gap in there, you can pretty much pull it off from there. So okay, so yeah, that seal is pretty worn out, so kind of see that it's all dry and cracked and stuff on the backside. So good thing we're changing it. Threw the belt off to the side too. Didn't look horrible, so we'll just before we put the new one on, we'll just make sure that it's the correct size in comparison. Came off pretty clean too, so I'm just going to go around and scrape the whole thing and just make sure it's clean and we don't have like bumps and stuff like that, so you'll hear your dryer going thump 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 when you're get it all back together and you're drying stuff. So I'm going to spend some time scraping this stuff off, and then we'll get back with you. Okay, so I think I got the edge prepped good enough. Everything's not off of it. I ended up going from my putty knife to a utility knife, and just, scraping it off this way. Seemed to work pretty good. Other suggestions have been use something like goof off to take all the glue off. or some other kind of solution to remove the goop completely. Other people say, you know, use some sandpaper. So you can kind of see, I did some sandpaper real quick, and the thing I don't like about it is it takes all the enameled paint off, and then you're just down to raw metal. It's a good surface to glue to, but I just hate removing all of that paint. So I got it to a point where it's pretty smooth. Parts of this drum are smoother than others. I mean, this is pretty smooth. If you rotate it more, this section, you can kind of see the ripples. You know, it's trying to wrap a flat piece of stock around a round circle. So they stick up a little bit. But I think that's ready to go. Wiped everything down. There was a little bit of rubber in these grooves here, and those are from those wheels we're going to replace. That's where those wheels sit in there. So there's a little bit of rubber, so they are wearing a little bit. So we'll compare the sizes when we put the new ones in, but got those all cleaned up. So this is ready to glue up. While I was in here, there's some trim pieces here. This is the front. Those just push in. I kind of looked at them and they seemed in pretty decent shape after all these years, so you can buy replacements of those. I decided not to. You know, if they break or something, I mean, you've got to pull the whole drum apart again, but they seem to be in pretty good shape. Kind of like a really slick coating on them that's still there. I looked at the condition of the fins, because now that the drum's out, you know, if something's broken or something came loose, they're bolted in on the backside. If any of those are broken or loose or anything, now's a good time to replace those. Kind of give your whole thing a little once over. So the drum looks in pretty good shape. We're definitely going to vacuum that because that's disgusting. So for now, let's get this set up to glue the rear seal in and put that off to the side and let that start drying while we deal with the rest of the dryer. Okay, so in getting ready to put this rear seal on, a lot of instruction stuff that I've read and some videos I've looked at and everything say the stitching stuff, the green stitching is towards the drum. And so you look at this one, well, there's two green stitching and one orange. Goes, it's supposed to be the other way, because a lot of them say they have one green stitching, the other two are white. So this is the first one I've seen where it's like orange and two green. So I'm going with green still towards the drum. And if you're not for certain, the other giveaway is if you flip it over, there's already almost a pre-made fold when they make these. So this fold is going around the drum. So if we can see that. So the way the drum is sitting, green is towards the drum, and then that little pre-fold is going to go over the lip. And it's going to be glued down that way. So since this is brand new, I'm going to see if I can pre-fit it around there, because they're supposed to be pretty tight. And then some things that might help you are some clothespins or clips or something, just to keep it from, you know, falling down once you get part of it up. So, all right, got some clips. Well, what I call clips. So you can use all sorts of stuff. So this is a chip clip, clothespins. I've got these little guys, so I'm going to use these. A little overkill, but as long as it stays in place. Okay, so now we know that it fits. I think I'm going to turn it on the side when we go to glue it up, just so we don't have glue running down the side of it and getting into grooves where the wheels are supposed to be. Okay, so I got the drum up on a paint can or paint pail, just so that I'm not running my clamps into the ground, because these are quite large clamps. If you had clothespins or something like that, you could probably just put it on the floor and spin it, but these clamps are going to hit the ground if I do that. So get it up elevated, and I also have to kill my back. So basically what we're going to do now that we know it fits is we're going to peel this away. We're going to put the glue where underneath there, and then we're going to put it back, and we're going to do it in sections. So whether we do an eighth or a quarter at a time, and then we're going to pin it in place, and then when we're done doing that, then we're going to make sure everything's seated, that this inside is seated, and then going to put it to the side and let it dry, and then work on some other stuff. So we're going to work on little sections at a time, peel it back, put the glue in, and do that around the whole thing. So we'll see how well we can see that. Since this is a round circle, I'm also going to find a good starting point. So I'm going to start with the seam of the drum. That way I know where I started at. It has some pretty tacky glue, so be careful not to get your fingers in it. Okay, so now we've gone around the entire perimeter, glued it all on. Now I'm going to go back and press it all in, make sure it's all square, make sure that the little piece that's sticking down inside is where it's supposed to be. It's all seated properly, and then we're going to set it aside and let it set. So, okay, so let's get some of this mess cleaned up so we don't have to deal with the fuzzies floating all over. The gluing's done, that's set off to the side to dry. Now we can clean this up, change the front seal, and just kind of see condition of everything and go on to the next steps. Okay, so that electric motor has a little bit of grease and oil and stuff on it, so it's collected all the dust and it's stuck to it, so the vacuum's not getting it. So I'm going to try some compressed air and make sure all that goop gets off there, because that is a fire hazard. So get any kind of spark and stuff, and that lint can go up. So I'm going to grab that and take care of that, finish cleaning up, and then we'll get to cleaning up these edges and stuff, see if we can get some of that goop off of there. So we got a nice smooth place for the new felts to sit. Kind of check all the condition of all the edges there. Blow that out, change out the rollers. They got hair and stuff on them, but when I pull the wheels off and put the new ones, I'll clean those off better. And then the front felt is half ripped off anyway. We'll do finish cleanup on that. Okay, well, I got everything pretty cleaned up. I'm not going to go to the point of, making it clean like you can eat off of it, because it is a dryer and it's going to get linty again, but got all the dust and stuff off of the motor, so it should be able to breathe better. So let's get back to, well, let's pull the wheels off, replace those, and then the tensioner, and then we'll go to cleaning up this mating surface with the felt seal. Let's do that. I think this guy might be the one that's a pain in the butt, because we got to get that little retaining ring off there, and it is like stuck there. So this is probably the one that left all that rubber on the wheel, so it's not freely spinning at all. So that's a good time to replace that guy. So we got replacements for all of this, so I'm just going to snap them off. We got new retaining rings. Got new guys of that. Ooh, all that hair on there. All right. Okay, I cleaned up pretty good. Oil and gunk off of it. And I just used straight rubbing alcohol, so that does pretty good on just general cleaning like this. Okay. Wow, well, once you get them in the grooves, they stay there pretty good. Much better. There we go. So that one is done. Let's go to the next one. Now, as far as the idler just sorry, it just sits in there. So I'll do it when I get two hands with it. Idler just sits there. Sorry, I keep saying idler. I've been working on my truck this week, so the tensioner pulley. So we'll put that in when we're ready to do final assembly and put the new belt on and stuff. So let's get to the front section. So it already did a lot of work for us. So these pins, retaining pins, are what hold them in. So there's 3 of them. They're all one piece. And okay, well, that was easy to remove. Easier than the first one, huh? So let me clean this up and then. Okay, so time to put in the front seal. So much easier, you don't have to glue anything in. So the old one was ripped, so it just came out really easy. So the new seal is pretty simple. It's got the felt top on it in a few layers, and then kind of a fold over seal on the bottom part. So all you're doing is lining the holes with the alignment pins. If your kit comes with new ones, you can pop the old ones in, or pop the old ones out and then put the new ones in, so you got nice fresh ones there. Mine just came with the seal, it didn't come with the alignment pins, so I'm keeping them in there. But I did notice that my new seal only has 2 holes in it. There's not a center hole, so there's one on either side to align, and my old one has a center one. So I'm going to pop that out and then just use the 2 existing ones. Okay, this is much easier, so I'm going to see if I can kind of one-hand it so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So lay this panel down on the ground. You can kind of see the back side of the alignment pins. So that one's in. I pop the top one out. That one lines in. They don't really snap in, but they keep them in place. Kind of like what the clamps were doing when we were doing the rear seal. Okay, so then this is a little bit tight, so just like the other one, we're going to stretch it a little bit, get it around the lip. Looks really good. Fold this down. So when we put the drum in there, it doesn't get on the inside of the drum. Okay. Okay, so I've given that glue enough time to at least set up and tack up. So I tugged on the edging, and it seems pretty set up. I'm not going to run any laundry until tomorrow morning, so we'll let it sit overnight. That way, for sure, the glue is cured. So, but I think it's dry enough we can reassemble. So it's been an hour. Took some time to clean this edge up, so you still see the line there because the paint is gone. It's so old, it's worn so long that the paint is gone. So I went around the whole perimeter, cleaned that up with some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, not the drinking kind, and then so it's all as smooth as it's going to get. I got all the debris off there. We changed out the wheels. Those are nice and spinning well. We got to put on the little tensioner pulley, and that's really simple. I mean, it fell right out when I took it out. So basically, if you look at the slots and everything, goes in there, and as you push it forward, it just pops into place. So let me kind of show you what's going on. So the next thing is we're going to put the belt around the drum, pick up the drum and set it into place. But what's going to happen underneath here, it's going to be hard to see. So the belt's going to hang around the drum, and we're going to take a loop of it, and we're going to tuck it through here and around here. I'll just show you real quick. We're going to take a loop of it, stick it through the idler. Through the idler with a tensioner, pull it to the right, hook it around the motor, get a little slack out, and then this will go up and around the drum, and the lower part will go around the bottom part of the drum. So that's what's going to happen underneath, and that's a little bit tough to show you and do it with one hand. So that's what's going to happen underneath. So let me grab the drum, get it placed, and then we'll go from there. So basically I just threw the belt around the drum, and I'm going to gently hold the front of the drum and pick it up with the belt. Hopefully you can see that. And then the rear, I'm going to put those two new wheels that I put on and set it in this groove right there, and that's going to hold the weight. Then we're going to go back and we'll adjust the felt and everything. Okay, jiggle it around some. Feels like it's there. So then we got the belt. So it's pretty much sitting there. We've got the belt kind of where it was before. I'm going to go down underneath and get that all connected and kind of support that with my shoulder and my hand so it doesn't fall out of the way too much. Now I'm going to rotate this and make sure that the rear of the drum is seated right. I stuck my hand on the inside because it had folded over on the inside. So it looks like it is where it needs to be now. Okay, hold the front. And all this is kind of in reverse, so you remember we had to pull it up out of some pins down below. So kind of what I'm doing now, the rear belt is seated, and I'm spinning the drum just to make sure that everything is seated. So spinning the drum, kind of feeling around both sides. It feels like it's where it's supposed to be. The front is a little bit of a pain to get set up, but you can kind of see the new seal goes on the inside. I decided not to replace these plastic sleeves that kind of coated in Teflon or whatever. They're very slick, and they still seem to be pretty slick, and the tabs were in good shape. So I left these in place and just replaced the front seal, the felt and everything. So it feels like belt is on. When you spin it, that'll help. When you spin it, it'll help settle the belt where it was. You can see it's kind of right where the line was before. That'll get it on the pulley straight. Just spin it. Seals look where they're supposed to be. The front looks like it's lined up where it's supposed to be. Nothing sticking out funny. I'm holding the front together because if I let go, the drum is going to want to fall out again. And then the rest of it is kind of the real simple part where it's just a matter of putting the bolts back in the front that hold the front panel in. So 5/16. Okay, now I've got to reconnect this. If you just pulled it apart, reconnect it. I pulled the screws out, so I'm going to screw those back in. Get the first screw started before you tighten it all the way. Now you've got them both going. You can put it in the position and tighten them both down. Okay. So gonna flip the top back down, and we put the two screws back into the lint filter housing. Put the lint filter back in, plug it back in, and we're good. So I'm not going to turn it on or test it until tomorrow. Tomorrow's laundry day for me, so let's put it back together, and then we'll be good from there. Okay, so we were all back together. All the screws are back in there. Just haven't plugged in yet. I'll do that in the morning after it's sat overnight. Let that glue cure for sure. Okay, so we're done with that project. It's a little maintenance that I've been putting off for quite a while. Obviously, once you saw what was going on the inside. So cleaned it all up, vacuumed up all the lint and the fuzz and all that kind of stuff. Replaced the front and the rear seals, the felt seals. And then there's a little maintenance kit, so it's got a new belt. It's got the two new wheels that it sits on, that the drum sits on and rides on. And we saw that one of those was pretty stiff, so that left some rubber burnouts on the inside of the, or the outside of the drum. We cleaned up all of that, so we got a nice smooth surface again. And then lastly, we put in the new tensioner pulley to keep that belt at the right tension. So before I did install the belt, I did double check that it's the same length as the one that we removed. And as you would expect over years and years, the old one was slightly longer, so the new one's a little bit tighter and stuff. There was some wear on that little tensioner pulley a bit, so it wasn't a flat pulley. It was kind of, you can see as it was riding side to side, it kind of rounded it out some. But everything went together really nicely. Things cleaned up pretty good. So successful. I think tomorrow we'll get the power plug back in and run a load through and see how it works and everything after the glue dries. But thanks for hanging out with me while you watch me fix my stuff. So appreciate it. If you enjoy watching the channel stuff, mash all the buttons down below. The like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. So the YouTube buttons and everything, I'm sure that helps me somehow. But anyway, thanks again, and we'll head off to the next project. Thanks.